Welcome to The Backstory, a podcast from the North Dakota News Cooperative that takes an in-depth look at the stories we're reporting for you. I'm Sabrina Halvorson, CEO of the North Dakota News Cooperative. Joining me is Michael Standaert, our lead reporter. Michael, the story we're talking about this week was headlined, North Dakota's running and biking events boost health, tourism, and local spirit. Now, I have to say this was a story that you and I both really kind of enjoyed talking about and over the course of this because we both really enjoy races. So tell me a little bit about why the races, first off, were interesting to you, and then
Yeah.
how do they help our local communities?
So when I moved here in 2022, I had a kind of a background of racing myself, trail racing and obstacle course racing. And I've done several races over time since being here. And last summer, I really wanted to do a story about whether it was obstacle course racing or some of these kind of races, and ending up not doing it because other stories were taking precedence at the time. So I kind of put it on the back burner. And then several weeks ago, I was out walking with the family and the dog up on the bluff over the Missouri River, and run into one of the subjects of the story, Tanner Schweitzer, who was setting up for his Medieval Rush obstacle course race, and was talking with him. And then I eventually reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, I want to do a story about races like this and kind of why they're important." You often see reports about races in local communities and then mentioning the charity and things like that. But there's a lot of other aspects to these that I think were worth highlighting. Whether it's tourism, bringing in tourists, bringing in people from out of town. Another aspect is just getting more people out in the community, doing something that's physically active, and it's encouraging for anyone that needs to get out and do activities. So I thought that was something to kind of focus on for this piece. And there's many races across the state. Some of them get more attention than other ones, but I've been to really small trail races in small towns. Washburn, I went to their Coulee run a couple of years in a row. And it's you get 40, 50 people out there. It's very lively, and then everybody's kind of cheering each other on and kind of pushing each other. It's pretty fun. So I wish more people would get out to do these, especially the smaller ones. And it's a kind of a way to see some of these smaller towns that put them on, and it brings some activity into that town. Yeah, I think they're important and kind of overlooked in some ways.
Yeah. And then, of course, the big race that we have here in North Dakota is the Fargo Marathon that happens every year. I I participated one year it was actually in 2020, and I had signed up for the marathon before COVID hit. And then
Mm,
COVID happened and they had to change everything and they made it into a virtual. I actually did the half marathon. And,
yeah.
I believe in full disclosure and transparency and reporting. So I will say that I walk. I don't run like you do. I'm a walker, but I
Yeah, I
did the
don't
half
do
marathon.
road.
And, but I did it during the COVID years when there wasn't everybody in town. So we all, did it wherever we were. I, of course, was still in Fargo, but even though that's the only year I have participated, I have seen it other years.
Mm,
And first off, just the hundreds of people that it brings into town from all over,
yep.
not just North Dakota. We're getting people in from all over the nation.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
and
a qualifier for the Boston Marathon, so I think that's one of the draws too.
yeah,
Um, yeah, these are I can't remember, 47 states for that one or the Bismarck one. I can't remember.
yeah,
Bismarck
but it's
Marathon.
huge.
Yeah, most you get representation from people all over the country, and it's a way for them to see the community and get out and do something.
And, and we talk a lot, not me and you, but just all, around in North Dakota, but we talk a lot about
Yeah,
Medora and all the people that it brings in, but that's not the only thing that brings in tourism. It's these races bring in
yep,
tourism, and that means it's bringing in tourism money to our
yes.
local communities. So is that really, or did you find as you were reporting that that was appreciated in these communities?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, especially for the larger ones, and even the smaller ones. So like, I mentioned Washburn, this Coulee run. I mean, it was several dozen people, and I was coming from Bismarck. Other people were coming from other places, not just from the local community. So it does bring in some activity. People might go stop at a restaurant afterwards. They might camp out. Some of these races are pretty early in the morning. They might camp out or they might stay at a hotel nearby.
Yeah.
So, that's another aspect that I think might be overlooked. I don't know about with the race organizers themselves, not necessarily. They know all these things too, but
Yeah.
I think just in the general public, I think that might be overlooked. Some of these races are becoming around the country. I kind of wish one thing since moving here, I'm like, I wish we had like a Spartan race or some of these bigger obstacle course races. They're a destination kind of race. I mean, I think they had 650,000 racers for Spartan races this year so far in North America alone. And I know, when I was in China, I did a bunch of races there and they were huge draws, kind of festival atmosphere, really got kids involved in the kids races. And it's good to see that. And you kind of want to see more of it if
Yeah.
possible. It takes a lot to organize. I mean, talking with Tanner about organizing the medieval rush here in Bismarck, it takes a lot of work. And you need to get sponsors, you need to make sure you have the permits set up
Yeah.
for using, different properties and things like that. And it's had to, for him, it's had to change a few times. So it's tremendous effort to put something like that on. And another aspect of this too is also just the volunteers that do help out with these events, even if they're not racing in it themselves.
Yeah. So of course, as you were speaking, I was looking over at my wall, and of course our listeners can't see that, but on my wall I've got a bunch of race medals hanging, and I was trying to remember because there are several smaller races around the state, and there was another one I did in 2020, in fact, and it was Mandan. It was their 4th of July
Mm.
race. And I really like the idea that some of these smaller races, again, the Fargo Marathon gets all the publicity, it's the huge one, but then there are these that are maybe not at that scale, but still doing the same thing, bringing the community together, bringing in money to the community. But like
Yep.
you said, there's so much extra work too. And another thing that I have seen just being in Fargo during the marathon is how it affects residents that have to give up their street for a couple of hours. And you hear a little bit of grumbling about that, but it's really for a kind of a bigger cause.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, usually those streets will open up within, a couple hours or hour or two. So it's not a huge inconvenience if people kind of think about the larger picture of what it brings to the community. I've also done the 4th of July race in Mandan a couple times. That's a nice, fun little event. And yeah, there's a lot of races around holiday time. I think there's, like these Santa races around Christmas, and it's a bit cold then, but just anything to get people out and active, I think is a great thing for communities to try to push and promote. So
Mhm. Yeah.
hopefully we can have some more races. The Madahe, I want to give a shout out to them. They do really really great races, and I've done the trail run a couple years. Not the endurance one, just the
Mhm.
10K. But that's a beautiful trail run if somebody has the opportunity to do it. There's a short one. You can do the 10K. It's not extremely difficult. You can go at your own pace. It's best part is enjoying your experience doing it. So
Yeah, especially there because that's supposed to be a very beautiful
yeah.
trail.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
it was I mean it's a nice gentle rise.
Mhm.
You're going up in elevation a bit, but it's not like Montana or anything. You're not.
Looking at the reporter aspect of this, sometimes as a reporter, you have to do stories that you really don't want to do. But then there are other times as a reporter when you get to do a story that's really kind of fun for you. And I'm guessing that this was that kind of story for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's a definitely a fun story to do. I mean, if I mean there could be a way to do it more in a even more fun way, I guess.
Hmm.
To like do it and write about it. But yeah, talking to the people that put on these races, I think is was interesting for me, just from being a participant in a lot of different races, and I never raced for kind of competition, just competing with myself. It's like, okay, I want to try to do better this time than I did last time or whatever. But it's more about just kind of enjoying the experience and being out there with a bunch of people who are doing the same thing. And, it's none of the races, even like the Spartan races and things that I've done, have not been like uber competitive. It's all been, people helping each other and helping
Yeah.
each other over obstacles and, cheering each other on. So I think that's a good thing for people to experience.
Yeah, that's the same thing that's been my experience in the races that I've done too. And not just in North Dakota, but I've done races in other places as well. And it's that there's kind of a unifying spirit with everybody participating. Politics goes out the window. You're all
Yep.
in this together. You're cheering each other on. You're helping each other to the finish line. And that's just a really good thing for our communities to have.
Yeah. Well, and you usually feel good going away from it, even if it was like difficult.
Hmm.
You feel good for finishing. You kind of feel that after race rush, but you kind of also feel good about, people you meet or just the kind of camaraderie that you felt during the event. I think that's also, what draws people to races like this.
All right, thanks, Michael. And you can read more about the races around North Dakota through the article titled North Dakota's Running and Biking Events Boost Health, Tourism, and Local Spirit. You can read that story on our website at newscoopnd.org or in one of our local newspaper partners. For the North Dakota News Cooperative, I'm Sabrina Halvorson. This has been The Backstory.